And welcome to The Bottom Line, where we try and unpack the main business and economic stories of the day. Although the name Azoty Group is associated with being Poland's fertilizer giant, it is now more associated with financial and productivity troubles. Not surprisingly, Russia and Belarus have had a role to play in these struggles too. To tell us more, I am joined by Andrzej Dawidowski, Vice President of the Management Board of Azoty Group. Hello, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the invitation.
So, Polish and European chemical industries have been complaining about the flood of Russian fertilizers. How has Azoty Group been impacted by this? How much cheaper are these fertilizers, and what about their quality as well?
Yeah, I think that first of all, we should mention more about the Russian and Belarusian fertilizers. So first of all, they are produced based on much lower costs comparing to the European producers. So first of all, of course, it's a natural gas price, which is generally not expected to be in the European Union and other European countries in the near future. A second point, of course, is other costs which the European producer needs to pay. So it's especially CO2 costs or other environmental costs which need to be covered. So looking on the first 9 months of 2024, we had 3.2 million tons of fertilizers which were imported to Poland. So taking into consideration how it was looking on the previous year. So previous year we had 2.4 million tons fertilizers imported. And looking on the Russia and Belarus production, it's mean that almost 2,000 million tons was imported from these two directions. So the export is really growing dramatically to Poland. It's hurt mainly the Grupa Azoty business. Yeah? Grupa Azoty is currently one of the biggest European producers of nitrogen fertilizers and NPK fertilizers. So we really see that current activities which is made by the Russian and Belarusian producers of fertilizers hurts Grupa Azoty the most in the Europe.
So when you give us these figures and the impact of this Russian and Belarusian fertilizer, can you tell us how much cheaper this fertilizer is in comparison to perhaps the fertilizer that you produce?
Yeah. So looking on the distribution chain which we are introducing in Poland and in whole Europe, we need to remember that the fertilizers producers, they produce fertilizers during the 12 months, and the consumption period for the fertilizers, it's only 3 months in the spring period and 2 months during the autumn season. So you see how short the period of the consumption during the year exists. So then we have a different, of course, level of the prices on the market comparing how short period is to the consumption dates. So looking on the differences between the prices from the European producers and the Russian or Belarusian producers is much more above 30% currently.
Okay, so a 30% difference. The industry has been complaining about the situation for a while. Tell us why nothing has been actually done about this so far.
Yes, I think it started around 2 years ago. So the huge impact of the growing import of especially nitrogen fertilizers on the European market appears. So Russian start to treat the European market as a market for the natural gas, which they cannot export by the pipeline, but they started to export natural gas by selling the fertilizers, which is the biggest raw materials for this product. And of course, we can say that there was no significant or major action made on the previous Polish government or the European institutions. Currently, we do a lot of analysis. We do a lot of discussion on the European level. We do a lot of actions also with the Fertilizers Europe, which is the place for the meeting the fertilizers producers which have the plants in Europe. So a lot of different actions was currently made by the Grupa Azoty board. We see that currently there is a significant growth in support from our national administrations. So we see that the actions are currently made. There are additional sanctions made on the certain Belarus companies, which should help in the fertilizers business, but it also should start to be first step for protecting European Union from depending only based on the Russian or Belarusian fertilizers. And we need to also know
it's one thing to be discussing things and expressing support, but the industry body Fertilizers Europe that you mentioned proposes enacting tariffs on Russian and Belarusian fertilizers. Is that going to happen? Would you actually be in favor of a ban, like in the case of Russian oil or LPG?
One solution is, of course, it's introducing the 30% of tariffs. This is something which we are discussing with the fertilizers producers and
would you personally be in support of that?
European institutions.
Would you support that personally?
Yeah, so from our perspective, is the best and the quickest solution. Additional, of course, it's a full ban for the importing fertilizers from Russia and Belarus. We need to know that it's really creating some depend from these regions, not only for the fertilizers, but also it's about the food protection. If they will dominate our fertilizers business, finally the fertilizers price will grow dramatically, and we need to also consider such a kind of lack of fertilizers if the decision on the Russia or Belarus producers will be to sell this product to other directions.
So recently, executives in other state-owned companies in Poland say that their companies have been mismanaged by previous boards. We've seen a flurry of audits, referrals to prosecutors' office, the scaling down of investments. How has Azoty done in this respect?
Yeah, so of course, when we started to take the responsibility of the Grupa Azoty, it was March 2024. We meet a really company which had a very high investment program, and then this investment program create and increase the debt on the Grupa Azoty level. So the debt was nearly 10 billions and the net loss of nearly 3.3 billions for the 2023. So we can imagine with what kind of challenges we are facing every day. And of course, we also had a significant investments which was related to not our core business, which was a polymer project, and also partially which was connected with our business, so the heating and power plant in Puławy. It's a coal power plant in Puławy. So looking on these investments now, we need to really take the action in the restructurization plan. We introduced a lot of new actions in the cost savings. On the group level, we saved the cost around 350 million zlotys in the last 9 months. So it shows that the action was made and the results are visible. Additionally, we introduced the whole program to make the transformation of the Grupa Azoty to be profitable and to be competitive in the near future.
Well, your 10-step plan, because I believe it's 10 steps that you're implementing, as highlighted by your CEO in a recent interview, is still dependent on many long-term agreements with banks, securing external capital and solving structural problems. What is the likelihood of all this becoming a success and not leading to several redundancies?
So, of course, we made some commitment with the banks. Currently, we have a standstill which is signed to the end of the March. Looking on the decisions which we need to make during this year, this period, is how we will make our progress in this, we can say, restructurization program. Of course, the second point is how we introduce the Azoty business program to be program which will make the direction for this Grupa Azoty in the proper way.
Okay, Andrzej Dawidowski, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Good evening.
And that was Andrzej Dawidowski, Vice President of the Management Board of Azoty Group. Thanks so much for joining us today. I was your host, Marie Cato. Join us every weekday for Business Arena at 5 p.m. CET on TVP World. Goodbye.